Yo! Welcome to Talking Sports with the KingR. I'm your host, the KingR. Well, here we are. We're less than 2 weeks away, and Super Bowl 59 is set in stone. Unfortunately for some of us, it's a rematch that we did not really want to see of Super Bowl 57. That's right. No surprise here, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And the question becomes, can the Chiefs three-peat, or can the Eagles get redemption and redeem themselves from 2 years ago and get the win and stopping the new evil empire known as the Chief Kingdom? Where to begin? Where to begin on this subject? I mean, not a big fan for either team. I mean, 7 years ago? Yes. I was like I'd say most fans, casual sports fans, if that, they were happy to see the Kansas City Chiefs. They rised up. They rose. They built through the draft. They got a successful coach. And things were just starting to gel. What is that, 8 years ago now? They lost in the championship game to the New England Patriots, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. And, not saying things look disastrous. They were just young and just wasn't it. But then the next year, 7 years ago now, they got things done. They made it to the Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years. Yes. The last time the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl was Super Bowl IV, the last Super Bowl prior to the merger, beating then the NFL champions, Minnesota Vikings. Redeeming themselves three years prior from losing to the Green Bay Packers in Super Bowl I. Here we are, and then looked like we didn't know at the time it was the beginning of what we're facing now. Chiefs would go on to Super Bowl 55. They would lose to Tom Brady again, but this time Tampa Bay. He was in the NFC. I digress. They were stopped the following year against the Cincinnati Bengals, but they got redemption by beating the Bengals. Then they beat Baltimore, and now they beat Buffalo yet again to reach the Super Bowl. And they're knocking on the doorstep of history, trying to become the first team to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. Now, this is the first time in NFL history that a team has a chance to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. They've won 2. Now they're in their third straight. Well, yes, they're in their third straight Super Bowl. But the question becomes, will they? And this is only... there was the possibility, I think it was the Miami Dolphins. I think they played in Super Bowl. Well, okay, I can do quick maths. They were in 72. They lost the Super Bowl a year prior, and I think they won the following Super Bowl in 73. Right? And then 74, 75 was Pittsburgh. They lost 2, and they won 78 or 79. Right? I'm just guessing now, but Miami was the first team to go to 3 straight Super Bowls. They lost to Dallas the year prior. They beat Washington, and then they beat Minnesota. I mean, that sounds about right, but I would have to fact check, but I digress. So Miami had the opportunity to win 3 straight, but they lost the first one, won the next 2. We didn't see another team make that many consecutive appearances in the Super Bowl until the Buffalo Bills in the 90s. They went to 4 straight, but Lost all 4 times. And I think that's a little more incredible of doing. That's going to 4 straight Super Bowls and losing all 4 against 3 different opponents. You know? And that's still the only time that we had a back-to-back repeat in the Super Bowl. Bills, Cowboys, Bills, Cowboys. And then it wasn't until New England. New England went to 4 straight Super Bowls. I think. Yeah, that sounds about right. No. They weren't in 50. They went to 3 straight. They were in 51, 52, and 53. Yeah, because they beat Atlanta. They lost to Philadelphia, and they beat LA Rams. You know. So now here we are, Kansas City. Now, and I just like how history. We've never had a three-peat in NFL history, which is a big farce, big lie. Yes, no team has won 3 straight Super Bowls. But you know what? The NFL is about 104 years old, give or take, 104, 105 years old. This is the 105th season, 104th season, 105th season sounds about right. So, sure we're on Super Bowl 59, but what happened to the other, I don't know, 41 or 44, 45 years prior to that? Oh yeah, that's right, the NFL championships. And which team? I know everyone wants to say, who has the most Super Bowls? New England, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has 6. New England has 6. They've won the most Super Bowls. But you know what? Who has the most NFL championships? Right here, baby. The Green Bay Packers. You know what? They have three-peated not once but twice in NFL history. I know people forget. Like I said, the NFL is over 100, almost 105 years old, give or take, over 100 years old. And the only reason why we have the Super Bowl is because the AFL and the NFL decide to have a best all championship game, the AFL NFL championship game, NFL AFL championship game, whatever you want to call it, and both leagues had their own championship game, but once they met together, then that determined who's the world champion. But I digress a little bit. But yeah, the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers have not done it once, but twice. 13-time world champions. Go look it up. It's in the record books. 1929, 30, 31. And first 3 championships the Packers won was 3 years in a row. Under Curly Lambeau. I mean, granted, back then it was who had the best standings, and who had the best standings? Right here, baby. And then you fast forward 35 years later or so, 30 years, give or take, when Lombardi showed up in Green Bay, he did it. He won the NFL championship in '65, and Super Bowl I and Super Bowl II. I mean, granted, if the Super Bowl would have started a year prior, I mean, the talks for the merger and the World Championship game, I think were years in the making. Blah blah blah. But Packers were shy a year too soon or whatever of potentially playing in 3 straight Super Bowls. But still, NFL recognizes the '65 NFL Championship and Super Bowl I, Super Bowl II as the NFL champion. And that's 3 in a row as well. So, let's not forget. So, I'm not looking forward to the Chiefs. But history's on the line in Super Bowl 59. And then on the flip side, okay, before I dive more, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, this is, like I said, a rematch of 57, a high back and forth game between them and the Chiefs. And you know what? The team with the ball, who had the ball last, Kansas City won. And I don't see it happening this way. Whoever has the ball last wins. Kansas City. This is the first. The AFC Championship game was the first time they scored more than 30 points all season. I do believe. I might be mistaken what the score was against the Texans, but I don't think they scored 30. It doesn't sound right. It was like 22 to 24 to 12 or whatever, and they got the spread. You know, all those gambling conspiracy theorists, blah 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 blah. I digress. But anyways, the Eagles, you know, last year they came up short. That's not. They weren't. It wasn't Philly. Oh man, I don't even remember who was in the. Oh yeah, Durr. Philly had a little setback. I know Philly had a setback last year. You know, that was a Super Bowl hangover. You know, and then this year they picked up on the. I say, the best free agent, especially in the running back department. It's a close 1A 1B between Saquon and Derrick Henry, but as you see, one player still playing, the other one he's sitting at home. Saquon Barkley, boy, can only imagine how those Giant fans are feeling right now. But it is what it is. They paid the wrong guy. They should have never paid average Danny Dimes the money, but who knows? Who knows if Saquon was still at the same kind of season? But Philly took advantage. You know, they improved. They took care of their needs. They got what they needed. What happened the year between, you know, from 2 years ago to this year, you know, they're falling out somewhat. But here they are. They're back in the Super Bowl. They got the running back. They got a defense. And they put a big old whooping on Washington. And then this is the Eagles. Well, I was trying to figure out their third Super Bowl appearance in 8 years, give or take. I mean, 52, 59. So, yeah, that's an 8-year period. And when you look at it like that, you don't realize how much has changed in Philadelphia. I mean, when they won the Super Bowl against the Patriots, Doug Peterson was their head coach. They had Carson Wentz was the start the season. He got injured, and then Nick Foles comes in. They prevail. They move on. They win the Super Bowl in a shootout. And it's crazy that was that the seven was that 2017? Sounds about right. Yeah. That was 2017 season, and it was only 3 years later. 3 years, 3 seasons later, 4, and Peterson's out. He gets fired. They hired Nick Sirianni, and it took 2 years to get to the Super Bowl. The first, next go around with new head coach, new coaches, new players. I don't know how many new players, a handful of new players, and you know, like I said, they lost in a shootout against the Chiefs. They had a setback last year, and now here we go. They're back at it in the Super Bowl, and like I said, I don't know how many people outside of Philadelphia and Kansas City and their fan bases are looking forward to this game. I've already heard a handful of people saying, "Oh, I'm not watching. I'm not watching." But say what you want, but this is going to be one of the most viewed Super Bowls of all time. You might say, "I'm not watching, let's boycott and let's make this one of the lowest viewed Super Bowls of all time." I mean, that would be the case if it was, say, Um, Carolina versus Cleveland. You know, who wants to see those two franchises in the Super Bowl? Barely anybody. And it depends on the star power. Here, you have the star power. You have history on the line. You have a lot, mainly a lot on the line and history, like I said. Can the Chiefs three-peat? Win 3 straight Super Bowls for the first time ever? Are the refs... Now, this... are the refs going to, favor the Chiefs again? Or can the Eagles just outscore the Chiefs? So on and so forth, and it's going to come down to that. Um, and it I had I don't want to say epiphany. That's a bad word for this. I had a thought process. All those years. You don't realize those 20 years. Those 20 years from 2000 to 2019 or so, that we had that New England dynasty. It was early. The first 3 wins in 4 years, and then 2 more Super Bowl appearances. Um, that floundered in the late 2000s. Okay, but then they had 4 appearances in 5 years, and them winning 3 of those. And and all these conspiracy theories and cheaters, they cheat, they you know Spygate, Deflategate, all this, all that. They found ways to cheat the system and win. So on and so forth. Now, the NFL is rigged. NFL is rigged. The Chiefs are paying the refs. The refs are in the Chiefs' back pocket, and it's like, okay, what would you rather have? Would you rather cheat the system, be a no good phony cheaters, or would you have the consent that you paid off the refs? The refs are in your back pocket. You can't you can do no wrong. And I just listened to a Chiefs fan, calling the Patriots cheaters. They're in no one's gonna remember them, and honest to good, Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes are here to erase all their wrongdoings, and here they are, just the best team ever. And it's like, man, you sound like a big old hypocrite to some extent. You know, I know you're a Chiefs fan. I know you're a homer. You're just going to look past stuff, and so on and so forth. And I will say, when it comes to my sports teams, and there's a bad call, I'm not going to complain that something goes my way, okay? But I will recognize it, and then vice versa. You know, like I can only think about my team more or less, and then um, because I've watched so many games so many times, over the years, the decades of bad calls and so on and so forth. And what do they always say? Don't let it end in the referee's hands. But sometimes you can't help it. You can't help it sometimes. So, because the Fail Mary is a good example. But Des Bryant, Packers, Cowboys, 2014 divisional round. Did Des catch it? Did he not? Did he not? The ruling on the field was a catch, but after review, it showed that, sorry, he did not complete the catch. The ball hit the ground, popped up, and then he recaught it, but sorry, that's incomplete, turnover, on down. So those are just two that I can think of. But Um, I know I didn't really talk about the games, the NFC and the AFC Championship game so far. Just I suppose. Uh, Jaden Daniels joins joins the list of rookie quarterbacks to not win in the championship game. Or okay, so Jaden Daniels was the sixth rookie quarterback to play in the conference championship game, and the other five were 0 and 5, and now he joins that list. And now they're 0 and 6 rookie quarterbacks. They make the conference championship game, winless still. Big Ben, Roethlisberger, Joe Flacco, Sean King. I forgot he was the first one. Sean King, Big Ben, Joe Flacco, Mark Sanchez, Brock Purdy, and now Jaden Daniels. Brock Purdy, he got hurt in that game. That's who the Eagles beat 2 years ago. You know, so if that's some signs to come, maybe Washington might be back. And I think I brought it up last time. With the first all NFC East, NFC Championship game. You can only imagine what Dallas and New York are thinking, especially since now Dallas has the longest drought for NFC Conference Championship appearances. They haven't been there in almost haven't been there in 30 years now. We're coming up on the 30-year marker. Okay? Last time they made a conference championship game, last time they've been in a Super Bowl, the last time they won a Super Bowl will be 30 years, 30th anniversary. 30th anniversary. Gosh, let's think about that. And then the Giants, they had to see their former running back, Saquon Barkley, just run all over Washington. And boy, I mean, Washington started the game off. I don't want to say on fire, but they started. They started with the ball, and they were just trying to march down that field and get that lead. Went forward a couple times on fourth down, but in the end, they settled for a field goal. It's like, you went this far and you settled for a field goal? Come on. And then the first play for the Eagles was a 60-yard touchdown run by Saquon Barkley. And right then and there, boom, in my opinion, game was over. They go up 14-3. Then Washington comes back 14-12. And the 2-point conversions early. They just failed. Let's try this game up. It's like, you know what? No. Be within one and so on and so forth. Forget what the stats say. Or statistics. But yeah, it was close by halftime. Washington was still in it, but turnovers hurt them. Maybe you're always going to get some bad calls. You're always going to blame the refs, but not like in the Kansas City game. But Washington maybe got there a year too soon. I mean, who did Washington beat to get there? Okay, they beat Tampa Bay in a close game, and then they destroyed Detroit because Detroit was overconfident. And then they take on the division rival, and their division rival is just that much better. Sorry, but things to come. Washington, if they can, fill their needs, they can be a team that, hopefully in a year or two, 5 at the most, I'll say, maybe can get to the Super Bowl. We'll see. I mean, it's just hard enough to get to the conference championship game. There's 16 teams in each conference. 7 teams out of those 16 make the playoffs. And then only 2 make it to the conference championship game, and only 1 makes it to the Super Bowl. So you just have to have things line up just right. And best of luck to Washington. Hey, you got back to the conference championship game for the first time in over 30-something years. Congratulations. Just don't give up. And it's so funny that how much Dan Snyder, after he sells the team, here they get to the conference championship game, but come up short. And it was a sweet victory for Snyder because he wanted them to lose and they lost. but he hates it how much successful they have gotten since. So, AFC Championship game. This is, I think we got what we were expecting. A close game, back and forth, and exciting. Unfortunately, it came down to penalties. Penalties and the refs and spotting and so forth. There was some controversial calls like the 3rd and 1, 4th and down where the refs spot the ball. Bills had the lead at the time. I think a 1-point lead, 22-21, I think, something like that. And just got screwed over on the placement of the ball. And there was, what, 6 minutes left? 6 minutes left. Or so. And, like, they weren't quite in field goal range. I think they were, at least. And you don't want to give the ball... You can punt the ball and make it have a net difference of 20 yards, but, I mean, still, you're giving the ball back to Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. And it is what it is. And, you know, they had another chance at the end. 4th down, just bad call, and just, you know, came up short. Timeout, this and that, and Kansas City in the end won. And, you know, good for them. Good for them. Am I happy? No, not really. But good for them. And it's like, oh, I'm sick and tired. I know I already said this. I'm sick and tired of seeing Kansas City, Kansas City. Unfortunately, that's good for sports. When you have, you need 2 to 4 dominant teams. 1, you know, 2 on each side of the conferences that, you know, are just that successful. Yeah, unless you're a Kansas City fan, you know, you don't want to see them. If you're a Kansas City fan, it's like, yes, here we go again. You know, but what's the old saying? You either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. And right now, the Chiefs are the villains. And here we go again. Buffalo, on the other hand. Buffalo. Josh Allen becoming the first quarterback to lose the same team that's quarterbacked by the same quarterback. I know it's a mouthful, but has lost the Bills now 4 of the last 5 years in the playoffs. Just coming up short. And I always laugh how it's always on the quarterback. I mean, yes, they're basically the general on the field. They dictate everything on the offense. But it's a team effort. He can't control the defense. He can talk to them, preach to them, and so on and so forth. But he can only do what he can do on offense. Run the ball, throw the ball, hand the ball off, don't fumble it, this and that. Make smart decisions. Defense-wise, he has no say in it. So it's always a weird stat seeing, oh, these quarterbacks have lost this. Like, you know, Josh Allen joins Aaron Rodgers of being 0-4 against the same opponent in the postseason. But it would have been nice. I was really rooting for a Bills-Washington Super Bowl, but no, we don't. We don't get that. We're unfortunate. We're disgraceful. We don't get that Super Bowl. We get a rematch of 57, and hopefully we don't have Grassgate again, or Sodgate, because that was the whole thing last time, how slippery the field was. The game's in New Orleans this time. I don't think, gosh. Okay, let's see now. Kansas City's Super Bowls were in Miami, was the first one, then Tampa Bay, then Arizona, and where was it last year? It wasn't Atlanta, was it? Was it indoors? No, I swear it was outdoors. Where was... Oh, Vegas, duh. In their own... Yeah, in their division rival stadium. That's right, they were in Vegas. So I mean, Miami. That was okay. So there's no connection if you want to look at um, hi, superstitions. You know, the game. You know, Miami has a open air stadium. Tampa Bay open air stadium. Arizona has a retractable roof. Um, Vegas, that's a dome, and New Orleans is a dome. And shush, that's right. I'll have to look that up again. There was a stat though. There was a stat I saw last year about teams that traveled. Was it east and west? Because Kansas City played San Francisco again, and obviously Kansas City is further from Las Vegas than San Francisco is. I do believe. And was it the team that had to travel the furthest? Furthest had wins? Oh man, now I gotta look up that stat or what their record is. Because since now here we go, we're like I said, we're about 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks away from Super Bowl 59. All these statistics are going to come out. All these, and I'm looking forward to that. And then the prop bets. I don't even know who the heck is performing halftime. Not like I give two craps about that. I haven't watched a halftime show. Uh, maybe since I couldn't tell you. I could care less. I'm not nothing against the performers, whether I know them or not. I just said I'm just not a fan of that. And I know I'll be just watching the game at home. Maybe have some wings and some beer. That's mainly all I want that's enjoyable. Okay, but yet I'm a man that likes to see the world burn. So I wouldn't mind seeing a little controversy. But in the end, I'm going to be rooting for the Eagles just because I don't want that three-peat. I don't care about the commercials. I don't care about the halftime show. I don't care about the pregame show. The only thing I really care about that's coming up is okay, who's gonna win all these awards from this past season, kinda, and then the Hall of Fame. That's the other thing that's going to be happening is the announcement of the 2025 NFL Hall of Fame class. So, but that's all going to be next week and so forth. I don't see myself doing another episode between now and the Super Bowl because I'll give my reaction to the Super Bowl probably next time we do talking sports with the KingR. So because right now sports is kind of this week coming up is sure it's Pro Bowl week, but it's not football, and we only have one Sunday left until the NFL and college football have gone for the wayside until August. But unless you're like me, who's a big sports fan and loves any form of football, the UFL is just 2 months away. But I digress. So, um, lots of time for the storylines to build up between now and Sunday, February. Was it 9th? And oh yeah, that's the other thing. It's going to be none other than Saquon Barkley's birthday on February 9th. So either he's going to have one of the greatest birthdays of all time or one of the most disappointing ones. So I guess that'll do it for now. I appreciate all those who tune in to see this and hear my thoughts. So thanks for watching. Until next time, adios, muchachos.